Good morning, everybody. This is a message from everyone at Backto60. When I say everyone, I mean, first and foremost, the digital team, whose endless hard work is hugely appreciated eternally, because it's the only reason that we're in the position, the glorious position we're in, is because of that hard work. And obviously that is something we all appreciate. We also appreciate all the supporters who have stood by this issue for years now and wondering what's going to happen. Why are the judges, the police and the firefighters, why are their cases resolved and not 50s women, when fundamentally it's about the same issue? That question needs to be answered. So I also, every time we do a video, we thank everybody that's come around us outside of the Digi team and the supporters who give their time generously, without hesitation. And we all know who those people are, who I can't thank them enough. I can't find the words to thank them. The list is endless. And first and foremost, obviously there's the Backto60 legal team led by the inimitable Michael Mansfield QC. Where would we be without his leadership? Many have asked ourselves, because I doubt we'd even be thinking, when are we going to hear from the Supreme Court? Because we'd never have got to court. No other group has managed to do that, and that's because we have a world-class legal team. And we still haven't heard back from the Supreme Court, if as and when they might deem to hear the case. But we're waiting patiently, and whilst we're doing that, we're extremely busy building our armoury to protect all women and girls, actually, not just 50s women, because it's a much bigger issue now. It's become wider. For instance, there are 225 MPs who have signed an early day motion saying that 50s women are entitled to full restitution, and that a remedy should be transitioned through Parliament. And it's quite easy to do that, literally through a statutory instrument and a temporary special measure, which doesn't discriminate against any other group. It's been used successfully for all women's shortlists and other reasons as well. So that throws that criticism out of the equation. So what we're doing at Backto60, we're reaching forward to the things ahead. We can look back quite easily, which is quite common at this time of the year, but we all know the journey we've had. But what the promise of what the future holds is what keeps us going. And it's just, we're in a glorious position, absolutely glorious position. The CEDAW People's Tribunal, which is Backto60, making the most of an opportunity, nothing more. It's an opportunity that came our way, which we simply had to embrace, and we've done that magnificently. We have a team on the CEDAW People's Tribunal which is unrivaled. So we've completed stage 1 of the strategic plans, for the Seador People's Tribunal, and we're quite soon entering into stage 2, which is, given the challenges we've faced in putting the Seador People's Tribunal together, is amazing. And I really use that word sparingly, because the team at the Seador People's Tribunal, including, may I add, legal assistants, qualified legal assistants, giving their work pro bono, working so hard and doing everything they can to facilitate the tribunal. And that's young people. So anyone who says, you know, about intergenerational fairness, these young people have come around because they know this is about women and girls all over the country. It isn't just about 50s women, not anymore. So basically half the country will have the opportunity, when the elections come around in May, the local elections, to express their position about if the representative is for any reason not matching their expectations, then they won't vote for them. And that's half the country, for the most part, where these elections will take place. So as I said, we're reaching forward to the things ahead, and some of the things ahead are the evidence gathering, the hearings. We'll be making a film. There'll be reports out of the hearings from independent judges, and a book will be published as well. And overarching that will be a draft legislation for a Women's Bill of Rights. And for those of you not well acquainted with a Women's Bill of Rights, what it is, it will basically legalise equality, substantive, transformative equality, not the type that is pandered around today. We want substantive, transformative equality. So please remember that to look ahead, these are very troubling times around the world and in this country, for reasons that we're all plain to see to all of us. But what we mustn't do is be consumed by these challenges. We must stay focused, look ahead to next year, see what happens at the Supreme Court, see what happens in Parliament, because what we're doing is we're asking everybody here to write to their women MPs, and the women MPs alone in the first instance, and ask them, invite them to stand up against the culture of misogyny that they've all complained about jointly in Parliament and in the House, you know, that's the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Stand up against it and come together and put together a Women's Bill of Rights. Finally, it was ratified 40 years ago. It's time to put this together. I mean, what we're hoping is that Seador and Geneva will investigate this government about what it's done to 50s women. We're waiting for news about that as well. But what we don't do at Backto60 is sit around on our hands, do nothing. We plan ahead and build our armoury, which is very uplifting, actually, the armoury that we have. We're in the middle of submitting a report, another report actually, to Geneva, and we're also working with a human rights organisation in New York. We're looking into bus passes and privatised scant transport, in particular for 50s women. So if you would like to contribute to that investigation and tell them how it is for you, how difficult it's been for up to 6 years not to have a bus pass, not to be able to afford to get onto transport, let alone with the impact of COVID, which is terrifying to use public transport anyway. I mean, 50s women had the least resilience going into this pandemic, or one of the groups with the least resilience to go into this pandemic. And it's time that we looked at the impact areas, and one of them is about bus passes and transport, and why in London and Manchester and Scotland and Wales women get their bus passes, we understand, in most of those areas at 60, and in the rest of the country they don't. Now, if that is not discrimination, then I really don't know what is. So yeah, please do contact us at hello@backto60.com if you'd like to take part in that. And don't forget to contact the women MPs and say to them it's time for you to stand up together, all the women MPs, and bring about a change. And it is the culture of misogyny that is preventing this from happening. I mean, Baroness Trafford has actually spoken about this, and many other peers in the House of Lords are concerned and spoken up, women peers. So it will land very well, this idea that women MPs and women peers should stand up together and call for a Women's Bill of Rights and get this done, because that's what we'll be doing. We'll be drafting that legislation and taking it to Parliament and saying, well, we've waited 40 years, so we thought we'd do the job for you. And here it is, and it's time for all those women MPs calling for a Women's Bill of Rights to look at the draft legislation and turn it into an Act of Parliament. And believe me, many of the things that have happened to women and girls over the years would never have come about had a Women's Bill of Rights been enacted in the way that I'm describing. So trust us. Immediately we hear from the Supreme Court, we will share that information with you. But we're puzzled why we're being kept waiting. But it's a habit that has repeated itself throughout this legal challenge, and we believe that there are those who would try to wear us down whilst we're waiting to hear news. Well, that will never happen. We're very strong, we're very determined, and we will, when we hear the news, share it with you. So we understand why you're impatient, because of the circumstances you're living in, and which is exacerbated by the pandemic. We understand, but do please, reciprocate that understanding and know that if we had any news, we would share it with you. And, we were in touch with our legal team right up and, until the office closed. So that is the latest position. So these 225 MPs that support full restitution remedy for 50s women, there's one more point I'd like to make, and that is, how can the DWP use taxpayers' money to fund the Treasury Devil, as he's called, James Eadie, with a team of 14 when we were last in court, and there's probably more behind the scenes, to challenge this injustice, when 225 MPs have said this is discrimination and women, these 50s women, should have full restitution. How does that work? Especially because 50s women have to crowdfund. There's no legal aid, and we have to pay also for cost capping orders Believe me, if I told you how much cost capping orders had been charged to us, I think your jaw would drop. And if I could share that with you, I would, but it's legally privileged information. But we will tell you when we're able to. So, yeah, that juxtaposition between, you know, using taxpayers' money to fight 50s women when 225 MPs at least, you know, support for restitution. And the only reason there aren't more on that list is because of prorogue of Parliament, recess and everything else. They do everything to head us off at the pass. But we're lobbying behind the scenes. We know who's with us and who's resisting. We know that what Boris Johnson said about his fresh eyes and new vigour. We know what Keir Starmer has said to one of our team at the Night Bevan Festival, that he supports Backto60 and that a remedy is due. And, you know, by the way, he was the former Director of Public Prosecution, so why he isn't challenging Boris Johnson about his position and his unkept promise is puzzling. So, as I say, reach forward to the things ahead, because right now, I'll even go as far as to say we're in the middle of a national emergency, and we're not people who make a drama out of a crisis like some. We're very measured in our output, but it is a national crisis. But we're going to get through this like everybody else, and we'll come out the other side, and we will have a Women's Bill of Rights as an act of Parliament. And, you know, the difference that it will make to the lives of women and girls will astound everybody. And, you know, so what we're saying to you is write to your women MPs, encourage them to get together and put together a Women's Bill of Rights, and contact us if you wish to be part of this investigation out of New York, which will look into the absence of bus passes. And as I say, the hearings, the evidence gathering and the hearings for the Cedar People's Tribunal is imminent. We're going to be doing that quite soon. We've just got to put to bed the very last few stages, well, not stages, the last few points of the first stage of our work there. And in the new year we'll come out and there'll probably be some kind of announcement, but I won't tell you what that might be as yet, but it will be good news. So I'm going to head off now because yeah, we would have had a party with you today, but we don't think it's appropriate. So what we're wishing to everybody is peace and joy, and to reach forward to those things ahead. And, you know, it's literally, Christmas Day is very difficult for everybody this year, not only 50s women. So it's 24 hours. We can get through 24 hours. Look how many years we've waited for this injustice to be resolved. 24 hours is a walk in the park. Yeah, it's difficult because people have lost their jobs, businesses, loved ones. It's extremely difficult. But 50s women, they came into this pandemic already experiencing catastrophic impact on their lives. So we must be strong and look forward and reach forward to those things ahead. So I'm going to head off now because There's lots of things I want to say, but Christmas Eve is not the thing, not the day to say it. Okay, so in the new year, we'll having been stretched to our limits regarding putting various things together. We're hoping to have a bit more space to share with you, and we're sorry that hasn't happened in the last few months, but it's been hugely challenging in terms of time demands. And so once again, I want to thank everybody who is supporting us, and from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. And you know you are, and you know what you've done for us, and that will be shown in the film, in the book, because we are eternally grateful to everybody. And so I'm going to head off now, and thank you everybody for your time this morning. And please do what you can to enjoy even the next couple of days, even if it's really struggling through it. We know you can do it, and we can do it. We know ourselves that we can do it. So just keep going, reach forward to the wonderful things that are beckoning us into 2021. Okay, take care now. See you soon.